Okay. Well, I've got 4 points to make, and the first one's right on the question: the proposed primary curriculum progressive or prescriptive? In my view, it's hopelessly prescriptive. There is no attempt to specify in the first place what the aims of the curriculum should be, but there is clearly an agenda, and it appears to be ideological running alongside.
It's not very difficult to hear at the back.
Okay. There's no. It's just you don't know quite what is going on, except for what Mr. Gove and others actually decide to do and publish. And there you see there is no breadth and there is no balance in the curriculum. So that fundamental principle that came out of the 44 Act is being eroded through this curriculum. Furthermore, the view of knowledge which they're pushing is incredibly reductionist. It's all about facts, very little about concepts, nothing about skills, nothing about attitudes. So it's not really an educational curriculum that's being promoted. And then I think the other point that Christine made, absolutely correctly, by the time you put in the assessment framework and the inspection, and you add that together with the curriculum, the degree of constraint on teachers is going to be very considerable. The idea that there's going to be more freedom for teachers is going to be an illusion. And it seems to me that rather than delivering on the rhetoric which Michael Gove uses about countering disadvantage and inequality, this curriculum is likely to reinforce that. It goes alongside the academies and the quasi-markets as those are creating, and I know there are some differences of views about that. But if you add in this reductionist curriculum and the assessment and the restrictions on pedagogy and the attack too on teacher education, I think all of those things are likely to lead to a primary education which is diminished in what it can do for inclusion right across our communities. And that worries me very considerably. That's my secondary view. They talk a lot about knowledge, but show no respect whatsoever for the use of international research evidence. The way they use this evidence is highly selective, and it just seems to me to be a kind of cavalier disregard. And to that extent, I think it's grossly irresponsible and not something that you want in a democracy. I think in a democracy you should be entitled to trust your politicians, to at least consider the evidence and weigh it seriously and in good faith. And in the expert review, we drove through one way or another, a bit of manipulation around the back, to make sure that there were some principles fed into the debate about this. And if you've looked at the report that we produced, you'll notice that in the first chapter, there's a kind of noddy guide to education there, which starts off by saying you have society, you have individuals, right at that elementary level. Therefore, you have knowledge which society deems as appropriate for them to learn. You have development, the biological and social and emotional development of the learner. In the middle, linking the knowledge and the development of the person is the expertise of the teacher. And that's why you've got to give teachers enough scope and freedom to exercise discretion and use their knowledge to teach.